Hey, what's up, everybody? So I just wanted to make a little video, just going through the newest PCSX2 and show you guys how to get connected to Sandstorm using the latest nightly version of the emulator. I used to just recommend people use the 1.6 stable version, just so we could all be on the same page with everything. But after getting the emulator set up on my Steam Deck and getting it working on there, I kind of realized like the graphics are a little bit better on there, and you'll see what I mean by that when we get into the game. Like the shadows and everything look better, and as you can see, the old version came out nearly 4 years ago, so we're going to be using the newest version that came out today. As you can see, they call it like a nightly version. There's going to be multiple updates coming out for it basically every day, and whenever a new update comes out, it'll automatically let you know and say, hey, do you want to update your emulator? So it's kind of nice. So we're just going to go through and get this set up. It's not particularly difficult. It's pretty much the same thing as the old emulator getting it set up. You just have to put the right folders or the right files into the right folders, and everything should just pretty much work from there on out. There's only one small thing that I had to change with the cheat file, and I'll have that linked in the downloads here on the video here. But alright, we're going to go right through this. I've not got this set up on this laptop that I'm using right now at all, so we're just going to be going through this totally fresh. If we hit any snags or anything like that, we're just going to work our way through it and see what happens getting it working on this laptop here. This is a pretty nice gaming laptop that I'm using here, but it's from like 2015, so it's pretty old. And sorry if the microphone on here sounds kind of cruddy. The fan runs kind of loud on this thing because it's so old. But all right, let's get right to this. So we're going to want to download the newest version. We're just going to be doing this on Windows here, but yeah, just so you can see, like, works on Linux, works on Mac OS too. The setup might be a little bit different on those. Like, for sure, the file paths are going to be different in there, but other than that, I think it's all pretty much exactly the same. So, yeah. Whenever this is done, we're going to have to extract it. I recommend, well, you're going to have to get it actually. 7-zip, go to the 7-zip website, download 7-zip if you don't have it, just the top link down here. It's just like the best free tool for extracting stuff. What the hell is what are you doing here? Do I even have 7-zip on this computer? Maybe I need to download it. Alright, now I do have 7-zip on here. Alright, so when you get the download, highlight over it. Whoops, didn't want to do that. Right click it, 7-zip, extract to this folder name here, and it'll create this folder now. So I recommend you take this folder, cut it, copy it, put it somewhere that's not in your downloads folder. I'm going to just put it right directly here under my C drive, I guess. Alright, you're going to want to go into here. The mouse is kind of weird on this laptop. So then we're just going to make a link. So this application file here will be on the desktop. So right click this, hit send to desktop, and now you can see link is here. Just gonna make it called PCSX2. The name there is bothering me. Alright, so we're gonna fire this up for the first time. It's gonna ask us to do the first time setup here. So like in the old video where I kind of explained it in there, but you're gonna have to get the PS2 BIOS files and the EQOA Frontiers disk file. I can't supply you with those because they're copyrighted. You can find them online just through a simple Google search. They'll be one of the top links on there, but I'm not going to show you guys how to do that. The PS2 BIOS and disk that I have, I ripped off my own PS2. I burned off my own disk. But yeah, if you have any questions about something like that, you can ask on Facebook or in the Discord or anything like that, and we can maybe point you in the right direction, but we can't provide you with the link because it's technically illegal. All right, so I'm going to change the language to English. I like this dark theme here. I guess I'll enable automatic updates. All right, and this is where we're going to want to put the PS2 BIOS. So we're going to open this BIOS folder, and then we just want to put the BIOS in there. I have all of my EQOA stuff saved in a file also here, right under my C drive. So the only three things you really need are the BIOS, the disk, and this cheap PNATCH file thing. So BIOS, it's a bunch of files. Copy all of them. It might look different depending on what kind of system you have the BIOS ripped off of, whether it's a USA or a Europe model, whether it's old fat model, silver model, a slim model. It's going to look different depending on what it is, but just take all the files and just put them in this BIOS folder. So once that's set up, you should be able to go back here, hit refresh list, then there's your BIOS. Just click it, hit next. Now it wants to know where your game directory is. So I only have one PS2 game on here, but you'll see what I mean by this. It'll have like a list of all the games if you have them under the same folder. So I'm just going to again just point it to this EQOA folder. Controller setup. So I have you're going to need a controller for this too. I forgot, that's one other thing I should mention. I recommend you just get something that's just like a plug and play controller that works on Windows or whatever. Xbox controllers will work, PS4 controllers will work. I think a Switch controller might work, and then like any generic USB controller will work. You might have to map out the settings though, so I'm just going to click automatic mapping right here, and then SDL0 X input, that's an Xbox controller, so I'm just going to click that option. It's just going to map it to that. So the controller should be working right away. Set up like that. Alright. Get this going. Now, if you don't see the game here, that's because you pointed it to the wrong folder. One thing that's really nice about this version is, like, number one, as you can see, the user interface looks way better. It's definitely a big update compared to the last version. The last version looked kind of cruddy. This looks really nice, actually. So one thing that's really nice about this is if you're not entirely sure where the folders for things are supposed to go, you just go to this folders option and it says where everything needs to go. Your cache, cheats, covers, snaps, save states. It's really easy to find everything. One of the big ones right here is we were going to want to put our cheat file into this cheat folder here. And I'm noticing right now, setting this up on this laptop, that my location for my folders is different than it was on my desktop, so I'm not entirely sure what that is. And when I got it set up on my Steam Deck, the same sort of thing. The folder structure is going to be different on there, but that at least makes sense because it's Linux. I'm kind of surprised that it's a different path here, but documents looks good to me. So we're going to open this file, and we're going to put the cheat into that file, into that folder, I mean. There was one little snag that I kept getting caught on when I was setting up my Steam Deck, and it was actually this little cheat file here. So I'm not entirely sure why they did this. It used to just be called the EEE1FCC.PNATCH, but now it needs the SLUS number in front of it too. Not entirely sure why they changed that, but yeah, it wouldn't let me get through the DNAS patch until I renamed that. Then, just so you guys can see here, I also had to take out all the comments. I'm not entirely sure why I had to take out the comments, but again, the cheat wouldn't work until I took out all the comments for this new version. So I'm not entirely sure when that got changed. I don't believe that was with 1.7, like the first version of it, but yeah, there's like thousands of updates that have happened to 1.7 since then, and apparently that was one of the updates somewhere in there. So, yep, take the cheat and just copy it into the folder. We're going to want to get networking and everything set up. Let's go under here, under Ethernet, click Enabled. Ethernet device type. You want sockets, and then I'll just put auto for Ethernet device. That should work just fine. The only change we really have to make, set these two under DNS address, set them both to manual, and then we want to put in the address to get us to Sandstorm. So the address is right here. .139.162.238.221. And I recommend you just copy that and put it in this one too, just in case. Not entirely sure if it really makes a difference, but that's just how I've been doing it. And then I think we're pretty much all good to go in. I'm going to turn the volume down on the emulator just because it gets crazy loud and I want you guys to be able to hear me. I'll just go down to 0% with it. And then once we get in the game, I'll go over like the graphic settings. And actually, maybe I'll go over some of the graphic settings now. So I recommend for renderer, I'm not entirely sure how new your graphics card needs to be to run this Vulkan, but if you see Vulkan here as an option and it works, I just recommend you use that. It's going to be the most like cross-platform. Like that's the option I use on my Steam Deck. That's what you probably want to use if your graphics card is new enough. And by new enough, I mean like probably anything within like the last 10 years probably. So if you don't see Vulkan for whatever reason, maybe Direct3D 11. But again, like Direct3D 11 is old. Yeah, Vulkan is definitely the best bet though right now. And then adapter default should be just fine, but I'm just going to make it so it's forcing to use my graphics card just because this is a weird laptop where it has like an Intel chip with its own graphics thing in there, and then it also has this dedicated GeForce GTX 980M in there, and I just want to make sure it uses that. Everything else I'll go over once we get in the game to just show maybe how it changes the settings a little bit. But then we're going to want to enable cheats also, and if you don't enable cheats, you're not going to get past that DNAS thing. So and then I think we're all good to go through. Oh, actually one last thing I wanted to go over is controller settings. So go under controllers, under controller port 1, and it looks like it has my controller mapped out already. I'm just going to double check and make sure it's working. So yeah, if it's not mapped for you, you just need to go through these options and like D-pad up, click on that, and then just press up. And actually, I'll just go through all of these just to make sure they work. Hit right there, and then hit down, and analog. The L3 is pushing in the analog stick. Same as the R3 one. Select, start, L2, L1, R2, R1. But yeah, with the way the mapping is like this, you could technically even make it so like just your keyboard could be working as a controller. I'm not going to show you how to do that just because it makes things more confusing than they may already be. So yeah, I recommend you just get a controller though. It'll make your life a lot easier. Another thing I recommend you do before we get into the game here is go to this USB port 1, and this will make it so your keyboard works in the game. go to this. It's kind of cool how much stuff is just like built into the emulator now. This was all like you'd have to get custom plugins and all sorts of other crap to work in the old version. So it's kind of cool just seeing all this. But yeah, hit do HID keyboard. And then two last things I want to change before we get in is under hotkeys. So in the game, if you want to close down the chat menu, you have to press escape. But if you do that, it's gonna. I don't think it closes down the emulator in this version, but I think it brings up like a menu. Yeah, it'll open up the pause menu if you hit escape. And then if you hit space on the keyboard, it'll also toggle the pause thing. So we don't want those things happening. So we're just going to make it so it's shift and escape and shift plus space, so it's harder to do those things. Because you'll be annoyed once you get in the game and you are bringing up the pause menu and pausing the emulator on and off, and you're not entirely sure why. But yeah, just hit the two buttons at the same time, and then yep, keyboard shift, keyboard space. So that'll make it so it doesn't mess us up. And I think we're all good to go in the game now. So let's load this up. So another thing that's nice about the newer version of the emulator is you can see I'm not using the networking disk anymore. So like the option in this another thing there, if the cheats are working there, you're going to see that up top there. So make sure you see that when you first start the game. But yeah, the networking option inside the game here now just works. For whatever reason, in the old version, it was very difficult to tell what was going on just because like the graphics were messed up, and it just works in this version. So you're going to notice one thing. The only small little graphic thing I noticed that gets messed up is this. I don't know what's going on here. This is the only screen where it does that. So, alright, so we're going to want to format the memory card. Everything is pretty much just a fresh setup from here on out. Hit yes, might take a little bit. So we're not going to have a network configuration until we go under here, network setup. Then under this page, you just want to do auto for pretty much everything. Actually, I think it is just auto for everything. Select the hardware. Shouldn't be required. Do auto. Do auto. I like just calling it EQOA just so I know what I'm connecting to. There are other like private servers, like if you want to play like SOCOM 2. I know I've got that working on my computer too, but we're just doing EQOA here for now, so I recommend you just give it a name so you know what it is. Then that's it, and then just save this. We're going to go back to the game, and we should be connected to the server. Don't bother testing it. Hit back and quit out of this. Except go back, load through this all again, and basically with the game, you're gonna want it so like video here should say 60 FPS, 100%. Game should pretty much always be at 30. I mean, this is a 9-year-old laptop, and it can run this pretty well, so it gives you kind of an idea of what kind of hardware you need. It's nothing spectacular. Like even my handheld Steam Deck runs this absolutely fine. Actually, gets about 6 hours of battery life, it looks like, too, which is pretty sweet. But yeah, you definitely don't need a very powerful system to run this. Like if you have something that's maybe like a really low power newer system, it might not work too well. But yeah, I mean, if it'll run on this, you're probably looking pretty good. Any computer made in the last 5 years or so. All right, this might take a little bit to get through. Yep. We should go straight through DNAS there if the cheat is working. And then we should connect to the server. Yep. And then I'm just going to finish going through the login here, and I'll get in-game and then go over some of those graphics settings for you guys, just so you know how to mess with stuff. I probably don't want you guys looking at my account information, really. Actually, I guess this account name doesn't really matter. Yeah, that's my account name. Password, I don't want you guys to know, though. So I'm going to go like that. Alright, it didn't enter anything. I guess you can't see if I use my keyboard, so... Definitely with something like this, don't use an account name and a password for anything important. Just give it its own stupid name just for this. Hit save account. So if this is the first time you're connecting, you actually have to go here and hit create username and just go through all the options, and it'll ask you your account name, what you want for your password, and blah blah blah. Just go through all of that the first time and then put it into here, save your account, hit login. Now we're logging into the game. And we'll log into my Necromancer, I guess. Alright, it's all loaded. Looks like I get full frames and everything. Sorry if it gets loud, because my fan's kicking on a lot more now. Kill this guy real quick. Yeah, looks like we get nice full frames going on there. So yeah, there's like loot and stuff going on here, but as you can see, the graphics definitely look kind of cruddy. So we're gonna go through and change some settings, make it just look a little bit better. So back in settings, we're gonna go under graphics. I think you probably want to just do VSync. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't. But under here, under rendering, we want to change the internal resolution. I recommend you do it in by like solid numbers 2, 3, or 4. You probably don't want to go any higher than 4. I don't think there's any real reason to go any higher than that. I'm going to do it 2 on this. It should make it look just a lot better. This anisotropic filtering too, you can crank this up too. Probably doesn't make a huge difference, but yeah, you'll see just these two options will make everything look a lot better. But yeah, feel free to go through all these settings and mess around with stuff and make it look better. But yeah, like I said before, definitely make sure you can use, if you have Vulkan available, use it. If you can't, you probably maybe OpenGL or Direct 3D11. But yeah, Vulkan is definitely the best choice. But yeah, there's all sorts of there's filters and stuff. You can scanline filters and stuff. You can make it look like a CRT. It's kind of cool. There's a lot of options. But then just having those two things enabled, we'll go back in here and you can see just immediately like it looks way better just set to 2 times graphics. One thing you'll notice about that though is that like things that aren't 3D, like the text here, gets weird lines in there. So if you're wondering why the lines come from, it's just from having the graphics scaled up more past 1 time, past like 1x. So yeah, I think it's definitely worth it to have slightly better graphics to have the little lines and text there. But yeah, you see the lines and pretty much everything there. Alright, 2 things before I'm done with this video just to help you guys out with traveling. If you type Yoho, so I'm not entirely sure where he came up with the commands for this, but if you type Yoho, it'll teleport you to Darver Manor. And then I'll show you where the Portal Master guy is out there. The Portal Master guy gives like hunt and gather quests. Depending on where you start your character to, they might have like the starting quests working. Like I know I started a Freeport character, a Freeport Shadow Knight, and it had the quests. They didn't give me like XP or anything, but yeah, Xylos been working on this a lot, so it's really cool to see even like half of the updates for this stuff. But the Portal Master is over here somewhere. Here he is. This is where everybody kind of hangs out too. But yeah, he gives quests or whatever. I think he can port you around too. Oh, cool! I got XP. Yeah, I just need to teleport so you can port around. Coaches work. Another command is, again, I don't know where he got these. HEP will summon a pet for you. His name's Portal Tulpa, whatever that means. But yeah, they can see there's probably quite a few people on actually. Got 19 people on right now. Pretty cool. On a game that has not been live for over a decade now. But I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover in the video. Sorry if my microphone sounded like crap. Just using the built-in microphone here on my laptop. But oh yeah, another thing too. Like obviously if you want to go to like full screen, you just go in like that. I definitely recommend you leave it in the 4:3 setting. Like just auto standard here, because like you can set it to widescreen if you want. Here, I'll show you. But it's gonna just stretch everything out, and it's gonna make it look like crap. Well, not like crap, but it makes it look weird. You know what I mean? It makes your character look kind of fat and stuff. I guess it doesn't bother you that much. You can set to that, but I don't like it. Maybe we could get like a native widescreen patch working on this eventually, but we don't have that working yet. So yeah, I'll go back to here and. I just want to set it on standard. But yeah, that's pretty much everything. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave a comment on this video or reach out to me on Facebook. Or the best place to get help, though, definitely is if you go on the Discord page for the EQOA revival and then go under Tech Help. There's a lot of people that'll help you out pretty much right away. And but yeah, I mean, this emulator, it'll work on Windows. It'll work on Linux. Like I said, I got it running on my Steam Deck. It'll work on Mac. And it should all be pretty much the same exact setup. It's just that you're going to have to put those files that I showed you before into different folder locations depending on what operating system you're using. So yeah, just make sure you use this folders thing in here, and you can just know where you're putting stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope this helped you out.